changed, and we had to pivot.
What we were going to do, you tell me while I'm plugging in here if you think it's a good idea. So, yeah, the people going to the church in Minnesota. And then last week we had 9 faith leaders who went to city council and, said that MLK is the reason why people should not tolerate ICE and any of that. So we started they thought about Minneapolis. So you faith leaders there, it looks like a lot of you don't even have a church or a congregation. But if you did, would you be okay if me and my buddies came in there and we were all pro MAGA and started getting in people's faces? Good show or not a good show?
Yeah, I heard some of it.
Jerry Springer kind of thing. That's what we're aiming for, Barb. How are you?
I'm good. I'm healthier. I like that part.
Good.
Yay!
That's been a long time, hasn't it?
Oh my God, I really hate the flu. It was about a month dealing with the flu. But anyway, yesterday I took Mark had an appointment, so I took Bo. There's a dog park on the Greenland exit.
I did not know that. I love
It's
Greenland. I had
huge.
no idea.
It's got to be a half mile. It's all fenced in. It's a half mile each way. And of course, there's a pack of dogs walking around.
But is it over where they have that old fake front of a building that's white? And
Mhm.
you post
Yep.
Oh my God.
Right
I
there.
need to tell my daughter then because they love taking their dog to dog parks. And every time she comes down and goes back up there, she would probably stop if she knew about it. You just did my daughter a huge favor.
It's the perfect thing to wear out your dog.
Good.
He full on ran for an hour.
Seriously.
And then he was toast the rest of the day. But I think that female he was chasing might have been borderline going into heat.
Yeah.
But he never let up on her.
So, but here's my question, and I always ask my daughter. So you go to a dog park. Does your dog ever get in a fight or whatever? And she's like, "Well, my dog doesn't, but sometimes people do. I mean, other dogs do. Did you see anything like that?"
No, they sorted out. There's a little bit of chest beating if it's the first time they meet each other, and then they move on.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
And my dog is kind of,
Big.
he's like, yeah, whatever. Next, let me find another one to play with.
Yeah. Yeah. Ladies, may I introduce myself to you?
What'd you say, DJ? What'd you say?
I didn't say
It was
anything.
just me mimicking your dog as your dog rolls up at the dog park. He's thinking, well, ladies, may I introduce myself?
Yeah.
See, because,
People really, I mean, there's like a whole clan that goes out there every day and walks their dogs. So it's like a club.
that actually is the park near my house. I watch my daughter's dog every now and then, and I go down to the park on those days. It's the same people all the time. It's like, you're right. It's like a little club.
Yeah. But it's good for us because then he's not being a nut job at home because we just wear him out.
That is good. I read something online where other people were giving their dogs some of their pain medication or giving their dogs, like some of the Xanax that they have just to make the dog loopy. And I'm like, that's stupid. I mean,
Right.
How do you even know what's going to hurt your dog or not?
It's not good for him. But anyway, he, he got along with pretty much all those dogs. But the funnest part was just watching him full on stretch, as fast as he could run the whole entire hour chasing.
That is amazing. Gosh, I would have lost money. I would have bet no way a dog is going to do that, especially a bigger
he never
dog.
stopped.
Yeah, lugging around a lot of weight.
I finally had to put him on a lead and go, all right, that's enough. Because he would have kept going, and he was like, okay, I'm going to lay down, but I'm not leaving. Staying here.
I don't know if this is true or maybe it's an urban legend. My last story, because I don't want to get us behind the curve here. But my understanding is that in World War II, whether it was the Germans or even the U.S. troops that were in the mountains of Italy and stuff like that, that they preferred to have mules. and as opposed to horses. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. And the guy was telling me about this. He said, well, actually it does, because a horse will just run until it drops. I mean, as long as you're getting it and you're giving it the spurs or whip or whatever, it'll run until it just collapses. A mule is smarter, and when it digs in and it's got its ears and it can't move, that's because you're across the line in terms of harming the animal. That's pretty smart.
Yeah, because they'll. I mean, most like if people go running with their dogs, it could be a risk to the dog because the dog is so loyal, he's going to stay with you. But he didn't really care much about me or walking around this racetrack. He was focused on those dogs and how he could relate to them.
Plus,
But
that's just I love. I hate that the barn burned down, but I love that barn. And apparently, the barn that was there that just burnt down like 4 or 5 years ago, that had been rebuilt from a barn that
in
burned down like in
Greenland?
the 1920s. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know there was a barn there.
Oh, I'll send you some photos. It was the coolest damn thing in the world. Big red, 2-story barn, and it caught on fire maybe 3 or 4 years ago, burned all the way down. But the only reason that it was there in the first place and so beautiful is they had one that was burned down in the 1920s or something, and they rebuilt
Yeah.
it. I'm hoping they'll rebuild this.
Anyway, it's a cool place. We went also on the weekend, and people brought their horses, and they're going to walk down that trail. But it's really pretty nice. I didn't even know it existed. Somebody told me about it. Then we also found out there's one in Fox Run Park, which we didn't know. If it's fenced, it's great because you can let them off and let them go, and
Right.
get the energy out of the system.
All right.
I saw your article you sent me this morning about Tina Peters. Did that happen yesterday?
Well, it happened the night before, so I guess that would have been it would have been Sunday night.
Sunday night?
And I should be careful about what I send out because I got that in. I was all excited because I just want to give people like you a heads up. I got a handful of people I send it to, and one of them was Jim Arthur, and he's like, the problem, Richard, is you're sending me just part of the story, and that's the perspective of Tina and her attorneys. And I'm like, you know what? You're exactly right. And I should have, when I send these things out, I just should have a little thing there that notes that this is the version from this person, this person, this person. Because did I send you the video?
No.
I'll send it.
But here's the thing: it's like,
yeah.
what part of the story? What part of the story should you be in solitary confinement for a misdemeanor? What the hell?
Well, and that's the deal. And so Jim's big thing was, well, they don't have solitary confinement. They don't have a hole.
Yes, they do.
He's right. They don't call it solitary confinement, but they do have an isolation cell that they've been putting her in. They say it's to protect her, but it's really to punish her.
Yeah.
And so, you have that, difference of perspective or whatever. But the most liberal caller I have ever had, his name is Steve. And so, but he texted in about Tina Peters, and what he said something about her, but then he said, but the truth is she never should have been behind bars. For her crime, she should have gotten a fine and time served and be out. And I'm like, when you got somebody that liberal who is acknowledging the base, the starting point is that she should have never been there in the first place. So,
well, I thought she won an appeal.
Well, the appeal was a couple of days ago, and everything went really, really well. But they have to make a written opinion, and it's going to be a while before they get that opinion in. But by all of the court watchers and everybody there, they were all saying that just the questioning from the judges and stuff looked really good for her. And that's why I wonder if this was a setup, because the appeal looked good. Polis looked like he was going to give her clemency. And, that was my question today. Did you look at the video here? Did she just screw up her chances with, the appeal or getting clemency? I don't know. She's a nice woman, I can tell you that. And you know what? Final story on her. So we go back to some of the primaries a while ago, and it was the primary for governor. And actually, it was past the primary for governor, right? And so there was this one woman, Danielle Neuschwanger, and she's kind of out in the country, and she had run as a Republican and didn't even do very well in the primary. But so in the general, she's going to run as an independent. And all of us, including me and Tina, are like, why do you do that? You're just going to siphon votes off from the Republican.
Yeah,
Her
stupid.
credit, oh my God, to her credit, I had her on the show to talk about that. And she had video of her talking to Danielle and saying exactly that. She said, Danielle, you can't win this. Could you just drop out of the race and stuff? And Danielle didn't, but it really showed Tina Peters, she's not just all about fighting all the time. She's pretty pragmatic. So gave her a lot of respect for that.
Why did she run as an independent? Somebody else won the primary?
Yeah. Yep. And I have to go back and look, but I'm trying to, I think, and that was Heidi Ganahl, and you know, whatever. Not everybody's all excited about her, and she lost the general, but I'll go back and look over the course of the show here. I think Neuschwanger came in like 4th or 5th in the primary. How the hell do you think? I mean, some of these people, I swear, Barb, they just do it for their ego, because you know,
I think that's the last thing you'll see me doing in my lifetime.
you and me both. But I'm sure people have asked you to do
I'm a polarizing figure in my industry, you know.
Oh my gosh. Says who? You're so funny.
Ask most of them, you know, they hate me. It's kind of funny.
Well, you know what? I'm hated by a lot of. I'm actually thinking about this a little while back. I'm like, you know what? I've never been so hated in my life. And I always used to say, well, I'm just fine. If people don't like me over this or whatever, you know, or even to the point of hatred, I don't care. And then it dawned on me, well, at some point when you've got so many people who hate you, and some of them are your own kids, it does start to wear a little bit, you know?
Your own kids don't hate you.
They don't, but I mean, I don't know. They sure as hell, they disagree with me on every damn thing that's out there.
They've been infected by the, you know, the communist.
Yeah, if Jenna can get a recruiter and your handsome son might sway her into going into the Marines. Do you have a girlfriend?
She'd never pass the fitness test. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Jenna Griswold. I apologize.
No. Oh my God, she wouldn't. That's right. No. Jenna, my daughter, she'd do good at it.
I just remember that's your daughter's name too. I'm like, oh, sorry. She probably would.
You know what? I think I told you this. They recruited her out of high school to be a rower on one of those crew teams where you have like a little scull and you've got 8 people in it.
Yeah.
And they recruited her pretty heavily. And she's like, the only thing I've ever done, I've been at the gym and I use the rowing machine there. And they're like, nope, you know what? We've seen you. We checked and you're a great athlete. You don't need to know how to row. It's pretty easy, actually. And if you've got the right body and, you know, the right attitude, we can teach you how to row. She didn't do it, though, which is good. She would have been, it would have been one of those liberal universities in Portland or Seattle or some damn thing. I don't remember what it was. CSU tainted her enough. So, all right, I'm good. David, you got a clock over there for us? We're chit-chatting the time away here. All right. We're talking with Barb Schlinker about real estate. And Barb, that Greenland property that you've been talking about as a good investment, how's that shaping up these days?
Yeah. Pennies on the dollar right now.
Never a dull moment. You know what? I do have one final thing. And I was a little bit surprised by this because I'm like, what the hell is going on with this whole thing? Apparently, he was already thinking about some of this stuff and talking to people while he was a candidate. He didn't wait until he got elected. So I don't know who was giving him advice or whatever, but this has been for a while with him. So,
yeah, right. I kind of hope he takes Cuba.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm sorry, but America first. You know what?
Yeah.
And some of these people in some of these countries, probably Cuba and Greenland, if you gave them a slice of the American dream and some of the freedom and you know, the financial stability and stuff, these people would be jumping for joy. I mean, obviously, communism didn't work in Cuba.
I think if you put a Walmart in Cuba,
yeah.
You're good to go.
And I don't follow it real closely. Maybe you do, Barb. But whoever is the leader now in Cuba, I swear to God, I saw a story or a soundbite from him like over the weekend where he was admitting that communism in Cuba was a failure.
Yeah.
kind of like it is everywhere.
Yeah. Max leaves on the 1st to go there for 6 months.
Where? Gitmo?
Cuba. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of your son. I say that all the time, but I just am. I mean, young people, I've got a couple.
Very strong.
Well, I've got you and a couple of other friends. Same thing. They've got either kids in the military. I've got one friend. Her son just went into the FBI like 2 years ago. He is a Trump supporter and as conservative as you can get. And cool. I'm like, that's the kind of people we need in the FBI.
Yeah, for sure.
Nephew, yeah, you're right. I've got a nephew just came to live with us for a while, 7 years in the Marines, and he's still actually active. But he had something, he screwed up his back pretty badly. So he's got like another month or two. But yeah, 7 years in the Marines. How long has Max been in?
This is his 6th. 2000. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this is his 6th year. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to stay. Every other time we talk to him is yes and no. Yeah, I'm not sure.
What I think is interesting is when you've talked about him, and now he's the grizzled old veteran talking about these new squirts coming in there at 19 years old. And
yeah, I know. Isn't that funny?
It is. Yeah. It's just. Have you ever taken a photo of him and what he looked like when he went in and what he looks like now? Because why do I think he's probably bulked up a little bit?
He's stuff? Way huger than he was. I mean, I still have memories of him in high school as a skinny kid, tall, skinny kid, And when he told me he wanted to join the Marines, I'm like, you don't even work out. But there was no changing his mind, and he rose to the occasion, and now he's really fit. It's amazing, big and strong. So
I was 5'11" in high school and weighed 135 pounds.
135. Yeah.
I got in a couple of fights and I didn't fare so well. I got in fights with people way bigger than me. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. All right, you got a clock. Let's do this thing.
Yep.
I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's real estate authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb Schlinker is also a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have got to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday. If you can't listen to the entire show, it is always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or look for her on all of the podcast platforms like iHeartRadio. Every week, Your Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market and one of the largest assets most people have, the home. So, Barb, what are we covering today?
Well, Richard, the first topic is about Redfin. So who is Redfin? A lot of people think Redfin is like a spinoff of Zillow, but actually they're another real estate company. They're a competitor to me, but they have big pockets where they can hire economists and stuff like that. And they're kind of predicting the real estate market's going to be correcting in 2026. So we're going to deep dive into what they say and what some other quote experts say about where the real estate market is going and what you can do about it. And then the next topic is probably not that common for most people, but it does come up in my business here and there. And that's, how does divorce affect your house, the mortgage, and taxes? So I get a lot of questions from this for people that are going through that. The good news is there really aren't as many divorces as what you would think you hear. You'd hear, only half the marriages last, but that's actually not true. Those numbers are way off, which is good. But when they do have to divorce, we're going to talk about some misunderstandings about what needs to happen when you are selling an asset. Most of the time, the divorce attorneys will create a decree which requires that it be sold. And then the third topic is about selling rental homes. So the rental laws have gotten very tenant friendly lately. And so it's about how to sell one and keep your sanity. And then last but not least, how to get the best price and the 4 common negotiating mistakes that I see. And as always, I love talking about my hot new listings. Richard?
So, Barb, when we're talking about the real estate market, in particular what you do, it seems like the real estate market is giving mixed signals. Fewer buyers can afford homes, but you're having bidding wars. Why is Redfin predicting that the real estate market will plummet in 2026?
Well, Richard, I think that report was taking a national look and maybe trying to figure out if what's going on in Florida is going to kind of go as a wave across the country. And Florida has some unique things about it. First of all, the insurance there is really high, although our insurance here in Colorado is getting very high. And the HOA dues have just gone off the scale. So we're seeing a massive drop, particularly in the condo market in Florida. And some of the investors are actually suggesting, hey, time to get in and buy one if you want one. But is that really going to translate all across the country? I don't really get that sense. I think there is going to be some small correction this year just because there's higher inventory. There's more available homes, but there's the same buyer pool to work with. So back in 2022, we had an expansive buyer pool solely because the interest rates were really low, about half of what they are right now. And it was less expensive to buy a home versus renting. But the problem is because the cost was so low, there were bidding wars going on. Even BlackRock was jumping in the game and basically causing home values to spike in excess of what they should have. And we're still correcting. And the problem is that the buyers now with the higher interest rates, they just can't afford it. So what we've seen in the past 3 years, since the peak of the boom, which was the summer of 2022, housing demand appears to have dropped. I wouldn't say it dropped. I would say it was artificially inflated at that time. So if you bought a home in 2022 and you need to sell in a couple of years, you might have to wait, right? Unless you put down a big down payment. And if you look at what Redfin says, they're saying, oh, there's going to be a collapse underway, and that the market has just flattened since the boom. So from 2018, we saw almost doubling in value, not quite, but almost doubling in value up to the peak in 2022. And then since the rates went up, the prices have stayed high, but the demand has dropped substantially. And the other thing people are talking about is what they call the golden handcuffs, meaning if somebody bought a home while the rates are really low, and now they're looking to either move up or move down, they're kind of handcuffed by these low interest rates. To buy their next home, the mortgage rates are going to be double what they are paying. And actually, we just kind of flipped it where we're seeing more people recently with a normal rate of around 6% than the ones that are holding the 3% mortgages. So people are moving. I wouldn't let that bother you at all. And so I think Redfin's data is coming out and saying basically the number of sellers far outweigh buyers. Now, it was just the opposite just a few years ago. So it's really amazing to me because all the years I've been doing this, Richard, prices have come up, on average 3 to 5 to 6, 7% a year, nothing extreme until the government started messing with stuff. When they dropped the rates really low, then all of a sudden the prices zoomed way up and we had bidding wars. Then the interest rates went up, buyers couldn't afford it, and now we don't. So there are more sellers on the market as before in 2022. There were very few sellers on the market because the prices were so low. Buyers were just snapping them up. So Zillow has the home prices flat. That's their estimate, is home prices might be a flat again this year, or maybe go up just a little bit. That's their prediction. However, the buyers are looking at this going, I still can't afford it. Even if the price is correct 10%, it doesn't really move the bar. So a lot of the people that want to buy right now are kind of frozen, waiting to pull the trigger. I don't see much change in interest rates either. 30-year fixed is just above 6% for conventional, and somewhere in the mid fives for VA and FHA. And they recently did a survey asking buyers, hey, what's more important, rates dropping or prices dropping? And across the board, it was prices dropping. So depending on which expert you listen to, some are saying we're going to have a big price drop and others are saying not. And some of this has to do with agent education, right? So they'll hire a real estate agent to put the house on the market, and they're looking backwards at historic sales that were higher, saying, oh, your home is going to sell for this much. But when the prices are dropping, you can't rely on that. You have to price a lot more realistically. So what I'm seeing in my business right now is the homes that are moving are the good deals, just like right after the meltdown. You'd see people that put their house on the market retail and they were just sitting there. Nothing was happening. But the good deals that went on the market, like pre-foreclosure, foreclosure, are flying off the shelf, often with bidding wars. Just in the past week and a half, I've gotten bidding wars on 3 of my listings where I got anywhere from 6 to 8 offers, 3 properties, and all of them were priced aggressively, and only one of them was pretty. The rest of them were not so much. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about really why Redfin is predicting that the real estate market will crash. And it has to do with just supply and demand, more sellers than buyers out right now. And if you are thinking of making a move right now, what should you do to prepare for it? We meet with customers every week and we help them. We give them ideas on what to do, what not to do to get their house ready for sale, go over all the expenses and give them a really good idea what their home will sell for in this market. So if you are thinking of moving, give us a call, 719-301-3900. Richard?
So, Barb, we're discussing where home prices are expected to go in 2026. What are the predictions and how should your listeners prepare for them?
Well, if they are selling now, it's all about preparation, pricing, and promotion. So preparation is on the seller, pricing is on the seller, but a lot of times the seller is relying on what the agent is saying. And promotion really has to do with how well it's put online. I was just talking with the seller last night that was saying, I can't believe some of the pictures I'm seeing as marketing photos on the internet. We were looking at one and I'm like, okay, I don't get this. They have a marketing photo of a furnace on its side in a crawl space, which is kind of subtly saying to the buyer, if you need to go down and change your filter, you got to get down in this tight crawl space. How is that marketing? Do you think that's marketing, Richard?
That if somebody calls that marketing, it's not very good marketing.
Yeah, true. And I just think that the problem is it's 1 month of school to be a real estate agent. There's no how to on the job. Now, some companies have training. Most of them don't. They basically tell you, hang your license with a broker and you're on your own. Get out there and go bring me some of that commission and get some closings done. But there's very little training. Just last weekend, I was sitting with my colleague. This agent called. She wanted to show one of my listings. She had gone to the house. Now, at the house was a combination lockbox, but a lot of the agents in this area prefer the digital box. So we cross-populate with agents. There are, I don't know how many different MLSs in Colorado. There's 1,500 in the whole country. They're all different software. They don't talk to each other. Some of these MLS clubs use digital boxes, but to open the digital box, you have to be a member of that club, and you have to download the app and get a special code to be able to open the box that day. So that's a lot of technology for the average agent that doesn't plan ahead. And their mission is to open a door, hope the buyer likes it so they can write a 10-minute contract and make thousands of dollars, right? So this agent called, and in her mind, this lockbox that she put eyes on required some kind of digital process. She goes, well, I don't have a 1-day code. And I said, well, it's a combination box. Yeah, but I don't have a 1-day code, so I can't open it. And I said, okay, this is how it works. I was very nice to her. I said, I'm going to give you the combo. Here it is. You dial it in and you grab the sides and open it like a clamshell, and there's the key. Okay. So if you want to go back and show it, I've got your information. Go ahead and do that. Oh, thank you. But I mean, just simple stuff. They're not trained on how to do this. And it's sad to me. It's like, we are supposed to be required to have our tools and to understand our software and understand the how to, right? But it's just not out there, unfortunately. So you get a lot of people that are just kind of wagging it, trying to figure out how to do real estate. And so there are situations where homes are on the market and they're not selling, and they're sitting there and they're sitting there. It's one of three things: it's preparation, price, or promotion. If the home has an issue, like if it backs to a busy street, it doesn't mean it's not going to sell. It means there's a different price for that. I was just looking at a house the other day that backed to a railroad track, not far from I'm talking like right behind the fence, but it sold, and it kind of sold at a premium. So there's a lot of factors that go into this preparation and pricing decision. If it needs work, you got to price it right. So we can help you do that. You just give us a call at 719-301-3900 to get a free in-home consultation, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She is your real estate voice. I don't like that. Hang on one second. 3, 2, 1. You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She should be your real estate voice. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how a divorce affects your house, mortgage, and taxes. How a divorce affects your house, mortgage, how a divorce affects your house, mortgage, and taxes. Greenland. Yeah, I know, right?
Was I gentle with that silly mistake?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, see, you know what? Why people don't like you? Because you call this crap out, and people are just used to, going through and not having to be accountable. And I mean, maybe there are other people out there who, are as experienced as you are and will call out the BS. But if they are, I'm not aware of them. And I know that, me calling BS on people, it doesn't make you real popular, I can tell you that. But you're popular with the right people, and that would be who? Oh, well, the people that you're representing.
Yeah. I mean, I want my listings to get shown. So I have to help them get past whatever their mind block is, but that's crazy.
And what is that saying? Haters gonna hate, or whatever the heck the thing is. But they are. But they are. Yeah. How it affected my divorce? Actually, I don't know if I told you this. So we should have never gotten divorced. Both of us agree we still loved each other. We should have worked it out, but we didn't. And I think both of us regretted that. In the short term, in the long term, we both, found new people and both ended up having kids and stuff. But when it came to the divorce, we wrote up a little contract there, and it was simple. She wanted to stay in the home, so I said, you know what? You stay in the home. If you stay in the home for 5 years, then the home is yours. If you sell the home within 5 years, then I don't remember what it was. I think it was like 10% or 20% of the profit on the sale, right? And she called me like a year later and said, I've got to sell this house. There are too many ghosts. I come home and I look at the voice, because they have those voice machines, and I look to see if there's a red light blinking, and I heard from you, and I've come here too many times, and the red light was never blinking. And there's just, this house is haunted. And I'm like, okay. And so she sells it. And then, I'm like, so what was the profits and stuff? And she's like, Actually, could we talk about that?
We need to talk.
Well, it was pretty simple. She just said, you know what? Could I just keep the whole thing? I need money for a down payment on a new place, and can you help me with that? Yeah, you're going to say no? I mean, honestly, you're not going to say no.
Yeah, I mean, it's not worth the fight.
Well, and, I still cared about her. I mean, it's not worth the fight. And, when you care about somebody, I mean, I know a lot of times you got divorces and people do not care about each other.
Oh,
But if you still care, it's like, what am I supposed to do? Make her grovel to somebody else to try to just be. I felt guilty, I guess is what I'm saying, when she said the red light isn't blinking. What she didn't tell me at the time is that she wanted that light to be blinking, and I just assumed it didn't matter.
hmm.
All right, I marked up. Wait, one more divorce story. So this is how smart I am when it came to divorce. We were starting to have some problems and stuff like that. I remember she's laying in the bed. I'm sitting on the side of the bed, and she's like, so what should we do? And I said, you know what? I will do whatever you want to do. If you want to call it a day, I'm fine with that. If you want to work on this, I'm fine with that. And I'm so stupid. I'm thinking maybe a woman just wanted to be reassured that you really wanted to work on this instead of saying, whatever. I've had better
She
days.
got kind of indignant and said, fine,
Yep. All right, we're ready to go.
ready.
Count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program and the owner-broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, of the many emotional and financial challenges with a divorce, dealing with the real estate part of it can be very daunting. What are the things that home owners need to know about the house, the mortgage, and taxes when they're facing a divorce?
Well, Richard, generally, if there's attorneys involved, they're going to create what they call a divorce decree, and it's going to lay out whatever the agreement is. Some parties both have an attorney. Some of them are amicable and they don't have one at all. So it's fairly easy to get divorced in this state. From what I understand, we have something called no fault divorces where they just split stuff in half and you have like a 92-day cooling off period or whatever. But a lot of people think divorce is, very common, like half the marriages fail. And actually that's not true. Colorado divorce, a little bit on the high side, but 13 out of 1,000 file for divorce. Now, I don't know if that's annually or just in general. It's not as extreme as you would think. And it also said, and when I was doing the research, that 52% of people over 18 are married, which I thought that was good. That's a good thing. Yeah. So
that's good news.
Yeah, but generally when they sell a house, I see all kinds of things happen. Typically, a lot of times they'll bring in a real estate agent just to do an opinion of value, a market analysis, which is not a true appraisal. It's just an opinion based on what they're seeing in the market. And there's, forms that we could fill out and they could send that to their attorney. They could also hire an appraisal. Appraisers right now, appraisals are over $850. They used to be $350, but they've gone up, which they deserve that. It's hard work. I wouldn't want to do it. I mean, I do it for free for my clients all the time, but not at that level of detail. Those are 40-page documents, very intense. So sometimes lawyers are involved and sometimes they're not. Where it gets a little sticky is both parties have to agree on the one real estate agent that's going to handle the sale. So sometimes they don't agree on that, where I've recently sold one last month where the missus picked one agent and then she fired him and hired me and I got it sold. So that happens sometimes too. But generally the divorce decree is the document that establishes, okay, this is what we think the home will sell for. This is how the proceeds are going to be split at closing, right? And it goes from there. And so, but basically there's 4 basic options for the real estate when the marriage is splitting up. You could sell the house and divide the proceeds. Or one party could buy the other out, like say, all right, we think it's worth this much, so I'll pay you whatever half of the equity, and then I retain the house. And then, I had one actually that tried to do that. He was in the middle of a rehab, and for some reason, the attorneys wouldn't let him do it. So they had to sell basically to a fix and flip investor in order to have them finish the rehab, and then they'll get the proceeds. So that probably cost him more than what his original plan was. He actually wanted to buy them out, but buy the wife out, but it didn't work out that way. And so if you have to sell and you want to buy another house, you can't always do same day closings from the sale to the purchase. We can make that happen, but you've got a lot of people in every real estate transaction. A lot of things can go wrong. Like the lender may not close on time. Like the attorney says, oh, no, we need this sorted out. I recently had one where the wife's attorney decided to capture all of the net proceeds, and the attorney was involved with paying down the credit cards that they each owed balances on. And, if you have title companies do that, they're very fast and efficient. They do it out of the closing, the money goes out, you have all kinds of documentation, but not so much when it comes to attorneys doing it. So this particular attorney, it took her over a week to get her hands on the net proceeds because she didn't give the right wire instructions. And then when they sent the checks out to pay these bills down, she didn't put the account number. So these credit card companies sent the check back going, we don't know what account this is for. So here we are a month after that closing, where this should have been done within a week or two at the most. And these bills are not paid off, and the attorney still has some of the money. So I don't advise that. I think it's a really bad idea because the title companies are very fast and efficient at doing this, and they don't charge anything for it, which is probably most important. It would cost you less if you have to have certain bills paid off out of the closing. Now, how do you figure out what a home is worth, whether you plan to split it, buy each other out, whatever it is? You can have an agent to do it. We help clients give them an opinion of value all the time. A lot of times they'll get several opinions. I had one customer that his side got an appraisal, the wife's side got an appraisal, then I gave an opinion of value, and they had to basically make a decision on these facts. But then you got to figure out, okay, if you're going to go buy another house, how much house can I afford? There's a really good resource that you can get online. It's called Bank Rate Mortgage Calculated. I'm sorry, Bank Rate Mortgage Calculator. If you just Google bankrate.com, it's one word, bankrate.com, and then look for the link that says mortgage calculator. You can click in there, kind of guess at your price, put in your down payment. It's going to default to whatever the current interest rates are. It will default to kind of a high property tax number and kind of low on the homeowner's insurance. So make those kind of even, just to get a rough idea on what that payment is. Another general rule of thumb for how much you can afford is most lenders will approve you for up to probably about 38% of your gross monthly income before they take taxes out, can be in the form of debt. That includes house payment, car payment, and credit card payments. So if you know what that number is, just figure 40%, just to be even, 40% of your gross monthly income gives you a qualification number, and you can go from there. All right, so how do you be prepared to move to your next house? Right now, the average days on market in this area are exceeding 120 days. So where does that number come from? Average days on market is calculated based on the average of the homes that are getting contracts, not the ones that are not getting contracts. And right now, only 1 out of 3 homes are getting contracts every month. And, a lot of people think, oh, I can go up on Zillow and Zillow tells me my house is worth X. Well, the problem is Zillow is giving out fake news. What they're telling you is your home is worth the average of what the other available homes are around you, most of which are not selling. So it's not good information. You really need somebody that understands the market, that sells in the market, to give you a really good opinion of value. And the other thing too is when you, let's say you plan to buy another house after this one sells, and you're under contract. So that's good. You're most of the way there if you're under contract. However, the buyer's going to do an inspection. They're going to do an appraisal. They're going to go through loan approval. They might need to get documents that they're not very fast on. I've got one closing this week that should have closed last month, right? So there could be delays. Also, there's a whole bunch of opportunities for the buyers to bail out pretty far into the process. So I'm not sure I would jump on another house unless you know for sure the deal is solid rock firm, or you can qualify for it without selling your current home. And if it does sell in time, that's great. Then, you're just in good shape there. So if you get your offer accepted, before you go out and actually make offers on homes, we always highly recommend that buyers get their lending pre-approved. Don't just throw out offers and hope it's going to work out. Because here's the thing. First of all, it's a waste of everybody's time to go look at homes you can't afford. And some people like to put the cart before the horse. I see it all the time in the car business where they go look at the car. They love the car. They want to buy the car. Okay, how do I buy the car? Right? And they may not qualify. So you want that done. It only takes a few minutes on the phone and a little bit of paperwork here and there. And it's like shopping with cash. So if you get that done, that's the best scenario. And make sure you hire an agent that really knows how to put protections in place when you do make an offer. Let's say your house sale falls apart. You don't want to have to lose your earnest deposit just because something like that takes place. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show. And what we're talking about is how divorce affects your house, your mortgage, and taxes. And when we come back, we're going to cover the mortgage payoff and how that works. Also, property taxes. And if you are thinking of making a move, I help people sell homes all the time that are facing divorce. You don't necessarily have to be in the same room if you don't get along. You could close at different times. We've got all kinds of solutions. So give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard? Richard's missing. I stopped the clock. There he is.
Thank you, Barb.
He's back. Here we go.
Okay, and we're going to the thing where you pitch to me, so I'll pick it up there.
Okay.
And say 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She is your real estate voice and the host of the program. And if you are interested in selling your home and want to get in touch with, they'll do the same thing over again. 3, 2, 1. I'm sorry, I'm just stressing out here for a second. 3, 2, 1. You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're interested in selling your home and want to get in touch with Barb, the number is 719-301-3900. And we're talking, Barb, about divorce and how it could affect your house mortgage, taxes, and all of the rest. Barb, let us know.
Well, let's talk about the mortgage, because I get interesting questions all the time, and I like this question because I could see their line of thinking, where a lot of people will say, "Well, we're getting the divorce. Do we need to refinance the mortgage first?" And the answer is no. It's just a lien on the house. So if you plan to sell the house and split the proceeds, basically that lien gets paid off, and you guys are paid off and clear of that mortgage. The only time where a refinance might be necessary is if one of the spouses plans to keep the home, and then the other may require a refinance, because if that payment doesn't get made, it affects the other person's credit, right? So that would be the only situation where I'd say you'd have to worry about that. And as far as holding title, as an example, most couples hold title together. So what that means is they both must sign for the sale and accept the contract. But there are times when one or the other party is solely in title, but they are married, and that's there's nothing wrong with that. Well, sometimes that happens if one party or the other, when they purchased the home, had a little better credit score, or they were the main income earner, and so therefore two of them were not entitled. But in Colorado law, you still have to split the proceeds. So it's whatever the divorce decree says has priority. And in either case, the mortgage gets paid off. And then the last item really is property tax. If you have lived in the home and you currently are married, or you were married in the last couple of years, you can profit as much as $500,000 tax-free. Now, if you turned it into a rental property in the last 2 years, or more than the last 2 years, then you may have to worry about a capital gain expense the year after you sell that property. That doesn't happen very often. Most of the time, they're splitting up a home that they live in together. But you definitely want to talk to your tax professional about this. I'm not a tax professional. I'm just a real estate broker, but I definitely would look into that if you think that's going to be a problem. And if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Or if you want that free report, Divorce and Your Home, What You Need to Know, go to barbhasthebuyers.com, go to the free reports, and download any of Barb's free reports, including divorce. When we come back, we'll be discussing selling a rental home, how to handle the issues, and keep your sanity. Barb will tell you that when we come back. That's good. I like that. Okay.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. Please don't tell anybody. where I thought there was any issue like that.
Sorry for delay.
All right. Well, and I think that's the thing is people like you and I, Barb, have a certain morality where it's like, no, I'm not going to do that to become a millionaire. These people, it's never enough.
We were talking about Fauci.
It is never
Oh,
enough.
he's trying to open this gain of function thing in Colorado. Did you hear about that?
We did.
He did open it?
We did hear about it, and
Scary.
we're still trying to find all the information about it so we could talk about it on the air.
Oh, do you have to confirm it?
Well, I have. It's because my daughter worked at that lab. Her senior.
It was that one.
Yeah, junior and senior year of college. And it was very prestigious that she got to work there, and she wrote a peer-reviewed article on it. And so when that happened, I kind of suspected it, and I talked with her about it, and she's like, okay, Dad, first of all, there's nothing in what you sent me that is new. It's been pretty much that status for 3 years, and they're making it sound like they're just doing it right now. She was working, what did she work on? She worked on Ebola and West Nile virus, but everybody else was working on COVID and all these other things. And I was telling David, the problem is if I even say anything that slightly questions Fauci or this or that, it's as if I'm attacking the entire medical profession. I'm standing outside the door like Martin Luther, and I'm nailing, my grievances against the medical profession. They're very touchy about it. And I'm just like, I don't know. It shouldn't be that touchy about it. But I do think it's interesting that she worked there at that point in time, and nobody knew that until this article came out. And I didn't know it. And, I would have tracked a lot of it. So you can fault the article for talking about something that's been going on for a while, but the mainstream media or any media didn't actually do anything to let us know about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, didn't the government fund something with it recently, the state government?
Yep. And she hates that idea of it's, what is they call it Wuhan, Colorado or something like that. Oh my God. Say that and I'll be filing for divorce here pretty quickly. Cruel and unusual punishment. Probably poison my food.
The instant shit list,
yeah,
I guess.
Dad, here's a pie I made for you. Jenny, you haven't made me a pie in 3 years. I love your pie. You used to do it all the time, but you haven't made me one in 3 years. Yeah, well, I made you this one. All right. I'm good. How about you?
I'm ready.
Count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, host of the program, and she should be your real estate voice, and here's why. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner-broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, sometimes people decide to sell a rental home. What are some of the things that they should be prepared for?
Well, Richard, if you're selling a rental home, probably one of the common questions I get from homeowners is, can I sell it with my tenant in there? And my answer is kind of, it depends. There are some tenants that are cooperative and they keep their home neat and tidy and show ready, and it might be okay. But most of the time, that's not the case. In fact, most of the time, the tenant has a vested interest in either keeping it as a rental property and not having it sell. So if you put it on the market and it doesn't show very well, that can absolutely work against you. Buyers are extremely picky right now. But if the tenant has given you notice or you've given them notice, whichever is the case, and it's time to start thinking about selling the property, they recently passed a few laws that are very, very important for a landlord to know. One of them is that if you plan to sell the house, say at the end of their term, you can't wait until 30 days before the end of their term to let them know. You actually have to give them at least 90 days and preferably 120 to let them know you plan to sell it and you're not going to renew their lease. And if you change your mind, they could take you to court and you can get in trouble. So it's one of those things where that's a pretty big change. 120-day notice is a lot of time. The tenants don't have to give you that much notice to move out. But let's say they didn't move or didn't pay, or there's some reason why you're going to have to end their lease. In general, the laws have been the same. If they don't pay, you can evict them. Or if they don't comply with the lease, you can evict them. However, the timeline for notification has greatly been expanded. So just to post a notice that you're going to evict them or you're going to get a court date, that takes 30 days. Then it could take another 30 days just to get a court date. And then it kind of depends on what the judge says. So our laws are really mirroring California a lot. I call it California, where it's very similar that the tenants actually have a lot of rights, and you need to be very careful before you just tell the tenant you're out, you got to go. You can't do that in the state anymore. So, but when you do sell a rental property, there definitely are some different tax consequences as compared to if you sold your primary residence. If you're a single person and you sell your primary house, you could profit as much as $250,000 tax-free. If you're married and you sell your primary house, you could profit as much as $500,000 tax-free, and do that every 2 years. That would be perfect world, actually. But when you're selling a rental property, it's a little bit different. If you live in the state of Colorado and you're selling a Colorado rental property, you would likely have to pay some sort of capital gain on the time that you had it rented out. And so it's a rather complicated tax thing where you factor in the depreciation that you've taken, you minus off all your expenses, right? And it changes the basis of the home. So definitely talk to a tax professional before you sell a rental home, because that could hurt you on the tax front. If you don't live in the state and you're selling a rental property, the title companies will collect 2% of the sales price at closing and send that to the state, and the state's going to wait for you to file a tax return within the state. So they don't allow out-of-state investors to just sell a house and be done with it. They want to make sure they get their piece of the pie too. So I wanted you to make you aware of that, because a lot of people that are selling rental properties that don't live in the state may not know that. So it's absolutely critical that you talk to a tax professional and just get a plan. Most people are going to make a profit when they sell a rental property. Make sure you set some money aside, whatever your tax person says, to pay those taxes the following year. The other thing is you want to consider what kind of repairs that you're going to have to do on a house to get it to sell ready. Now, I would say, there are some tenants that take care of homes, but you know, in my mind, we have one rental property here in the state, and I'm just planning on the carpet being thrashed. I just know that's going to happen. There may be some other things I have to take care of as well. So kind of build up your fund for that as you have the rental property, because there's always repairs. I just helped a client sell their home last year, and they had it rented. They were a military couple. They bought it, and they got a good price when they bought it, and then they got orders right away. So basically, they were only lived in it for a year, and they turned around and rented it out for about 10 years. Now, all that time, the tenants kind of beat up things like the carpet, this and that. There were a couple of broken windows. The screens were thrashed. I mean, stuff is going to happen, right? So once the home was vacated, I kind of took over to sell it from the property management company. And there were a lot of things to take care of. The flooring was pretty much done. All the screens were torn. There were a couple of broken windows. It wasn't very clean. So, but once those things got resolved, it sold right away. I don't recommend that you put your house on the market as is in its roughed up condition, unless you're actually lowering the price below similar sales, and it opens the door for somebody to get in and put their own thing into the house at a reasonable price. And buyers actually can get renovation loans where they can actually finance up to $35,000 into the loan to fix it up. But there's a price for that. It's not going to be full retail value. So if you do want full retail value, you really have to put your retail hat on and say, all right, am I in a department store where everything's fresh and new and smells good or not? So a lot of people don't recognize odor, especially if they live in it when they had pets. The question is, can the buyers move right in? And what work do you have to do to get top dollar? Or are you just going to sell it as is and maybe price it what I call very, very, very realistically? Now, there are some exceptions to that. Last year, we did sell a fourplex in a nice area. And I have to tell you, I was even surprised at how much money this property commanded. But the seller did everything right as far as preparation. They prepared properly. They left one unit empty so the buyers could see what that unit looked like fixed up. And then they also priced it very realistically. So we ended up getting a bidding more. And I was pretty surprised at the ultimate sales price of that property, just because it needed some work, but it was in a good location. And to me, the numbers didn't work, but I think there's a lot of investors that like to deploy their cash, especially for multifamily, fourplexes, threeplexes, stuff like that. So you have to consider how much it costs to remodel. The good news is any improvements that you put into a rental property are going to be deductible off your expensing to sell it. So you won't have to pay taxes on that investment, which is a good thing. And probably the most popular things that buyers really want taken care of are fresh flooring, fresh appliances, if possible, updated kitchen. If not, at least all the appliances match. So like before me, I have a picture of a house that we sold that the formica was in good shape, but it was torn and ripped off on one corner. So it really didn't look good. So what they did was they invested just $2,000 and replaced the formica counters. And some of the formicas these days look as nice as granite, and it sold right away in that scenario. Also, simple, inexpensive things that you can take care of are things like lighting, bathroom fixtures. Make sure the tub doesn't have any mold or discolored grout. Those can be easy fixes. Those can be hard fixes. If the grout or the seals in the tile look dark, the buyers are like, "Ew, okay." They're just not going to go for it. And it's pretty easy to refresh or re-grout. Also, check the mechanical systems. So furnaces and hot water heaters tend to be the bigger ticket items that a home buyer would have to buy. If they are still functional, that's fine. You can offer a home warranty for as little as $500, right? We just replaced our 22-year-old water heaters recently. They lasted 22 years. Most of the inspectors will come out and say, oh, more than 8 years old, you got to get a new water heater. Well, no, you're not going to replace something that's not broken. And ours lasted 22 years. So I would definitely have those things checked out by an HVAC contractor. And so if you are thinking of making a move, this is the kind of thing that we offer to our clients all the time to give them an opinion of what the home will sell for, either as is or as repaired, what to do to get their home ready for sale. And then we'll show them how much they'll put in their pocket when it sells. Just give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. So, Barb, what are some other things that people should consider when they're selling a rental home?
Well, I mean, it's just like any other home. It's preparation, pricing, and promotion. So you want to promote the home clean and repaired. And I don't recommend leaving your tenants in there unless they are just keep a shockingly very, very nice house. It's pretty unusual to see that and have it work, especially in this market where 2 out of 3 homes are not selling. I would prefer to show it vacant, although it's not a bad idea just for security, maybe to leave the internet on and have a couple security cameras up just so you know what's going on. And pricing it, of course, is always, always the most critical thing. A lot of people think that they should price high just a little bit for negotiating room, but that's a mistake because the buyers know values probably better than a lot of real estate agents, and they are not going to waste their gas money to come see the home if it's even slightly overpriced. And you want to factor in the market conditions. You know, many buyers are watching what's available in their home buying criteria. They know the market. They could tell if it's overpriced. And if a home is underpriced, more than likely there is a reason. Like I have a bidding war that just happened on one of my properties that's a VA repo. And it had a lot of pet damage in the home, so much so that we had to pull the carpet. The subfloors are heavily stained. The trim was swollen up with dogs peeing on it. We had to pull that, and it still looks gross and it still smells gross. But it was priced so aggressively, we still got 8 offers and it went way over asking price. So how does that happen? Buyers know the market. They know if they're getting a good deal or not. But typically the steps are you want the tenant to clear out their stuff, you know, get it cleaned up, make sure everything's in good shape, and then go on the market and price it very realistically and make sure you hire the agent that knows how to promote the home. You want to promote the home to attract the buyer, not repel the buyer, like the pictures I'm showing you right now of bags of trash and a lot of clutter. If you are thinking of making a move and you want advice like this, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. This
topic.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. This topic dovetails in with the next topic. When we come back, we'll be discussing getting the best price plus 4 common negotiating mistakes and Barb's hot new listings. Don't miss that. That's right. Okay. Step up for 1 second here.
That one was kind of boring.
But informative.
Yeah.
Just hope a couple people take it to heart and get it together.
So how much show prep does it take for on a daily basis, or does it depend on the news?
We get some help from Fox, but um, we've been kind of tasked with finding the local angle,
Wow.
even when we're talking about national stories. So,
Mhm.
you can take a national story, but you have to find the local angle, which is usually pretty easy. I mean, because Polis usually has something dumb to say,
True.
but yeah, and it's only this year that I took back over the production of Richard's show. So
Makes for long days, huh?
well, it does, but at least now he has a producer who's not so liberal. So
Oh, that was it.
yeah,
That must have
Still
made it
very
interesting.
liberal, but not that
I'm liberal.
bad. I'm joking.
At what point?
Mhm.
And the thing I should say about Ray, and that is, we didn't agree on a lot of things, but he was much like a lot of the other producers. Came in uber liberal and went out not necessarily very conservative, but a lot more conservative and a lot more moderate, simply because he got new information every day that he wasn't getting elsewhere.
Right. Did
Makes a difference.
he leave the company?
No, he actually moved to afternoons. He talks more about sports,
Ah,
which is kind of his forte. It's really not mine. So
yeah.
I watch a little bit of sports, but not on that level.
He's a huge Avalanche fan.
I do love hockey.
There you go.
I played hockey as a kid, so
Now that I did not know. I mean, I knew you loved it, but I didn't know
yeah,
you played hockey.
I was a defender.
Wow.
Really?
I
That's
And I mean,
I wanted to be the next Bobby Orr.
who was a defender, who was, as a defenseman, he was just an awesome goal scorer as well. And Hall
Kind
of
of like
Fame.
kind of like my car.
Yeah, very much like McCarr.
Do you think a hockey player can become a figure skater?
Only in the movies.
Ashley, so that's a great question. Quick story. So I was doing my talk show, and it was around the time of the Olympics. And there was a Russian figure skater, Mikhail Nevershikov or something like that. I had to look her name up. And she fell in love with this hockey player here in the United States. Well, he's an American hockey player, but he was playing for this team Domo, which was a hockey team in the USSR. That's where they met. That's where they fell in love. So he was adamant that he was going to learn how to skate and that they were going to be a pair because she did pairs skating.
Yeah.
It was early on when I had them on the show. I need to look it up and find out, but well, if they had worked out, we would have heard about it all over the place. So I think it's possible, but I don't think you'd be elite. David?
Not in my experience. I don't think I've ever heard of that conversion other than the movie.
I wonder if it would go the other way.
I mean, they can skate, right?
Right.
So,
It's a different kind of skating.
uh,
I actually tried to take figure skating lessons to work on my balance, and it's a different type of balance.
Wow.
Even
hmm,
All right. Let's go here.
ready.
Wrap it up. Count it down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to your real estate voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of your home sold guaranteed realty. Now, Barb, most people selling a home have some very different ideas of that home's value. Some of them believe that they should price it at the very top of the price range. Others want a very quick sale. Others have no idea whatsoever. So, how does a home seller price their home to get the very best price?
Well, Richard, I'm different than probably most agents. A lot of agents will be out there saying, "Oh yeah, price it high," and then if it doesn't work, you can test it and walk the price down. But according to the National Association of Realtors, when you do that, you actually net less money. You're better off being priced what I call very realistically right out of the gate. And all the buyers are looking for new stuff. So the first 10 to 30 days are crucial to be priced right. Um, and then, a lot of people price their home based on what they want to net out of the home. I wish it worked that way, but it doesn't. It's what a buyer's willing to pay. So you have to look at all these different things. You have to look at your competition. You have to look at what other similar homes have sold for, and also factor in the market. And you really can't rely on those, what I call Zestimates, or basically automated online valuations. Realtor.com has one, Zillow has one, Redfin has one. First of all, those computers have not seen your home. They don't know what's special about your home. They may not know whether or not it's a good location. They certainly can't tell if you have views. And when I researched this, per AI, like Zillow's estimate just averages the homes that are available for sale. So the way I look at it is, if 2 out of 3 homes are not selling, their opinion of value is based on the ones that are not selling, which is kind of a mistake. So it's not the right number. Anyway, those computers really don't know your house, and you need somebody that takes a more detailed forensic look at its value. I'll give you a story. We just sold this home. It was up in Florissant, and it's a cute house. It has a detached garage. It's on a couple acres. It's in Florissant. Has nice views, but it's not cosmetically in great condition. The plumbing doesn't work. It has some issues, but it was owned by the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. And what they did was they agreed with our opinion of value. They priced it, what I call very, very realistically. We had a huge bidding war right out of the gate. We had, I think, 4 or 5 offers, and it ended up selling for about 50, 60,000 over asking price, right? So that's where you get the best offers, if it looks like the best deal. And if you have multiple offers, nothing could be better. It's like you're in the command seat, getting to pick whoever the best buyer is for your home. And so you really can't rely on those, whatever your neighbor's home sold for necessarily, because your neighbor's home might be more updated than yours. It might have better views than yours has. It might have a better floor plan. All these things factor into whether or not a buyer wants to make an offer. I was just talking to one of my buyers this morning, and he said something that kind of struck me. He goes, "Yeah, I know we made a low offer on that property, but it wasn't like the house. Like, if we move there, we're going to keep it for a couple of years and then resell it and get into the neighborhood that we really want to be in." But it had a good location, but it needed some work. So, if they pass on our offer or don't counter, it's okay. I'm okay with it, right? And so what I hear all the time from home sellers, they'll get a low offer. They won't even counter. They'll get indignant and turn their nose up and go, "How dare they insult me? I just lowered the price." But at the end of the day, you've got a buyer that's ready, willing, and able to buy your home. At least try to engage and negotiate with them. You don't know what the buyer would have accepted if you didn't counter. If you just told them, "Go away, you're not good enough," it's offensive to some buyers and they won't come back. So, you got to love on the buyers these days. It's not like it used to be, where there was a huge bidding war on everything, and the seller could be tough on everyone. But at the end of the day, the real opinion of value is not what you think. It's not what your agent thinks. It is what the buyer is willing to pay. And if you reject that offer, that's okay. I sold one early in this month where the first offer we got out of the gate was a lowball offer as is. Then when we got subsequent offers, she said, "I should have taken that first offer. I want to shoot myself for not doing it," because they didn't really net her much more. So it's a very forensic decision about where you're going to price your home. It's really, really critical. So you figure out value based on first, similar recent sales. Why do we care about those? The only reason we care about those is when if your buyer's getting a loan and they're going to have an appraisal done, they have to use similar sales to substantiate the value. Sometimes I put a lot more weight into what your current competition is. Is there new construction around the house? Are there similar sales that are better than yours that are priced lower? And a huge factor, absolutely, are the market conditions, right? So if the market is softer and there's more inventory and there's more choices, guess what? The buyers are going to have more choices. They may not jump on your house if you're just a little bit off in price and or presentation. So you have to understand that even though you know, you look at similar sales maybe to get a pretty good idea what it will sell for, it's not that determines the value. It's not the appraiser that determines the value. It's what the buyer is willing to pay. And so you have to really understand the whole picture and the trends. And as far as negotiating, when you do get an offer, basically pricing is a form of marketing. Pricing is a way to get offers, right? If you priced it right, the buyers are going to go, hey, yeah, I want to make an offer on that house, right? If you're overpricing, they won't make an offer. They'll look at it and they'll pick it apart. Pick. I don't like this. I don't like that. And sometimes it's just nonsensical reasons. And you want to appear online. Your first showing is online. That's the first opportunity for a buyer to eliminate your home. And that's probably where most of them are eliminated. So generally buyers are searching in $50,000 to $100,000 price increments in their price range. So don't price too high for negotiating room, because it could put you out of that price range where the buyer's like, I don't even want to go see that house because they're asking too much and I don't think they're coming down. If you price a home, what I call very realistically versus optimistically, that is actually the way to get the most money. Another thing is people feel like they've won if they're just 100% takers, right? I'm going to get this fabulous deal on this house. And the win-lose negotiations often do not work. I remember I had a listing last year where the buyer came along and made an offer, and it was a low ball offer, and she asked for closing costs. And oh, by the way, she included in her request a brand new roof because her insurance company said if the roof is more than 10 years old, we want a new one. And I'm like, anything else? You know? And she goes, oh, I'm just trying to do a win-win negotiation. I'm like, oh my God, this is not right. Now, if you come in closer to asking price and then you ask for all that stuff, no, now we're talking. Now we can probably play. But if it's all about you and not about, you know, back and forth, it's never going to work. Another negotiating mistake I see a lot is home sellers, if they do get a lowball offer, they get really mad, okay? Don't get mad. Some agents are telling their buyers to fish for a low price, and you don't know what the buyer's really willing to do. I had one last year where we were priced at 700,000, and it was the agent's opinion that drove the offer at 600,000. Her first offer came in 100,000 below asking price. And this home all day was worth 700, right? But she was looking for the lowest, worst comps in order to support her opinion of value. That's the way she articulated value to her client. The seller's like, no, thank you. He didn't even counter. Second round, she comes back with a 650 offer. He still says, no, thank you. Then about a week went by, a week plus, probably a week and a half. And the next offer came in at full price. And you know what she said? Well, my buyers decided this is the right home for them. So I think the buyers had decided at the 600,000 offer that it was the right home for them. And it was the agent that talked him into making this dumb lowball offer, which really could have caused that buyer to not get the house. All it would have taken was somebody else to jump in there and make a reasonable offer at that time, and they'd have been out. So you don't want to waste time with that. If it's the right house for you, if you love it, if you can substantiate the value, give them a decent offer. That's what I'm recommending. However, you never know what they're hearing from their agent. I had another property that actually had a bidding war, and I told the agent there were multiple offers and we're waiting for the highest and best on Monday. She told her buyer not to make their best offer, and they didn't get the house. And then, of course, they're mad at me on Carilla DeVille because they didn't get the house. So I'm not even the decision maker. But at the end of the day, they got bad advice for their agent. So you don't want that to happen. And also make sure you're communicating. You know, sometimes just getting a few questions answered will help things go a lot smoother. And you have to kind of temper your response according to what the market is doing right now. Recently, I had a buyer under contract, and the buyer needed more time because he sold his house, but the divorce attorney took the money and, I don't know, sent it around the world. It got lost for a while. She was supposed to pay off bills, but she didn't. And we were asking the seller, hey, give us time. We're still in the game. Instead, they're like, if you don't close on this date, you got to give us, if you want to stay in contract, you got to give us $2,000. And they treated him like in such a bad manner that it totally put a bad taste in his mouth about that property. And it's still on the market a month later, and he doesn't want to go back to it. So all they had to do was treat him nicely, and he could and would have bought that home. But you know, at the end of the day, it's all about negotiating, and you have to try to work with people when they have situations come up, as long as they can perform. And I think he could. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. It airs every Saturday morning. And Barb, you always have hot new listings to tell us about. What do you have this week?
I do. I have a couple of great properties. One on 35 acres out in Yoder, a nice little manufactured home, needs a little work, priced at $179. Another one up in Florissant, another manufactured home priced at $140 on 2 acres. A beautiful home in the southwest part of town. They just lowered the price to $274,999. A great home on Mead Avenue, nice rancher with a 1 car at $325. Another VA repo that needs a little work. That's why it's priced at $300. Great home up in Woodland Park. Has 3 bedrooms, 1 1/4 baths, 2-car garage at $344. Another home owned by the VA down in the Lorison Ranch area at $365, and a beautiful ranch on Solar Face Court under $400,000. Fabulous 2-story in Briargate on Stable Court at $540. Beautiful home on 1 acre on Ross Drive with a 4-car garage, priced at $759. A great home on Stevens Drive in Florissant at $400,000, and a home that just got fresh carpet and updated paint on Capitol Peak Way at $519, and a beautiful home that backs to NORAD on Broadmoor Bluffs Drive at $649, as well as many others. To find out about all of our homes, plus our coming soon homes, we have one coming up on Judge Orr that's on 80 acres that has an auxiliary living unit, lots of garage spaces, barn, all kinds of stuff. It's amazing, and a gorgeous lot on Hidden Valley. Go to barbhasthebuyers.com and click on our featured properties to find out more. And if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard? I'm waiting for the outro. I don't think he can hear me.